Welcome to Aaron Plays. I'm joined in this episode by Mark, who is playing the Coalition in the Hexasims Battle of Austerlitz, Rising Eagles.
Hi, everybody.
I'm playing the French, and we're doing the full battle scenario. We're all set up with all the Austrian forces you can see on my map masked, and are visible, but Mark has assured me that he will not look at the videos. He'll be looking at his own screen because this is shot over Vassal. So he has the Vassal maps loaded on his map, on his computer. So he can move his pieces and I can move my pieces independent of each other. So I'll never be able to see under his counters here. And as I said, he's pledged himself deeply that he won't watch the videos so he can see where the nasty French are coming from.
I have Russian spies everywhere.
So we've divvied up the cards. We are all set to actually begin the 6 a.m. turn.
What are the cards? What are the cards? Aaron, can we talk about?
Oh, we're going to do this as a full-on, let's teach the viewers how to play this game. Okay. There's a set of 12 tactical cards, which have varying effects. If I actually bring up the French hand and show that into the display, these are the cards that I've chosen, and they're not secret. The 12 cards, we don't shuffle the deck up. We choose them. French starting, choose one card, then the coalition chooses a card, and so on. Each card can be played multiple times, but it can only be played, or I'll start that again. Each card you play, you can only play a maximum of one card per turn. Once you play the card, it's given to your opponent and they can play it in a subsequent turn. So each card could be played multiple times throughout the battle, but you can only play one card per entire game turn or per hour. Each game turn in the system is 1 hour. Is there anything else you'd like to add on that?
No, it just adds a bit of randomness and also a bit of control to tactical outcomes, I'd say. My main memories of using these battle tactical cards in other games are generally that I've forgotten to play a critical card just at the time when I needed it. So I'm gonna hope that I don't do that again in this game.
Well, the thing about, as you said there, the card, they add that little bit of spice, and can change the pace slightly. The importance of, for example, if we just take a look at one of mine here, the last push. Normally each command on the board can be activated twice in a turn, and this one here allows it to be activated for a third time, which could be crucial at the right time.
Yeah, it's one of the most powerful cards, I'd say that. The good thing is once Aaron, as the French, uses that card, it then comes over into my hand. So if he does do the last push and pushes one of his cars into battle or into a better position, the initiative of that card then switches to the coalition,
which you will subsequently forget to use in the following. So that's the cards. So look,
Aaron.
And let me zoom out so to get the overall picture of the situation. We have the coalition strung out along this long line here and along these heights, the Pratzenberg heights here. Okay, now with quite considerably historically forces in and around the western side here, which again historically drove towards Telnitz, Skolnitz, to crush Davo's corps, which is sitting over here. Will the wily coalition follow that particular plan? We don't know. I don't know. Mark will have given his men orders, and let me show you the order menu. Okay, that's my orders. Okay, I'll explain what that means in a minute. And that's his orders. So all I can see are flags, and each of these flags will have on the reverse side either the corps commander's name or the corps designation, or it could be a dummy. There are, I think there's 3 dummy counters per side. So these could be dummies here, or these could actually be the corps, and that's telling them where the corps to go towards.
Oh, Aaron, just as a point of order, I checked the manual on the amount of dummy counters before we set up, and it says the latest rules edition that there should be 5 dummy counters on the orders display. I don't know how many dummy orders you've used for the French, but I've got 5 dummy orders out.
I only use 2.
Right. So feel free before we get started to add a further 3 in. I promise
Okay,
not to.
so as my viewers will now be able to see, that is the grand plan for the French. Okay, this particular corps here, I'm not going to say what it's doing, but you guys can see on the screen. These 2 corps are to attack this position. Imperial Guard are to do this area, and these 2 corps are to attack in this area with the cavalry over here. So I'm allowed up to 5 dummy orders. So when Mark's looking at his screen, all he'll be seeing on these are French flags. So if I'm allowed, I can clone a few of these. Okay. Let's do that then. Let's clone a few of these. There we go. So that will hopefully confuse the hell out of him, because it confuses the hell out of me. Now, Mark, this is the first time you've actually played this particular sort of game from Hexasim.
That's right. I've played Quatre Bras, I've played Ligny, I've played Waterloo, but not played Austerlitz. So I'm familiar with the system and with the updated rules. I think a lot of the updated rules were introduced with this game, weren't they? Or was it Ligny? Anyway.
A lot of this was my first foray into the Hexasim system. I bought this on a whim, and I've played it now twice. I've won as the French and I've won as the coalition. Again.
Oh, that's good.
So I think it's the way they've done the victory conditions. I think are very clever. It does encourage the coalition to attack.
Yeah.
Rather than turtle. But also turtling, and playing defensive is a good option for them too. So it depends on which way you want to play it. And it's nice to have that option in an Austerlitz game, because a lot of Austerlitz games that I've played in the past, the La Bataille version and a few others, it always seems very one-sided. Whereas in this one, I played the coalition, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the French didn't quite manage the 2 o'clock victory condition, which will be explained in another video, the victory conditions. In fact, the prior video to this, which we haven't recorded yet, but I'll be recording. So, yes, I think both sides have got good chances in this. Now, we both are a little bit rusty on Hexasim because we've been delving into the
Vive l'Empereur.
Vive l'Empereur by Legion war games. But we did, well, this is the system that me and you met on, wasn't it? So
we were testing Waterloo, weren't we? We were testing Waterloo where Walter is releasing version 2 of Fallen Eagles, which is the Waterloo battle. I think that'll be coming out this year, but I'm not sure exactly when. And we play tested that all through the lockdown. It kept us sane, or insane maybe.
Well, I think more insane. Oh, by the way, for any viewers, this isn't an obligatory cup of tea. I was playing games, cup of tea.
Yeah.
So,
The thing about non-vassal is you can't spill your tea on the map. So
very, very true.
let me just activate my biased vassal dice system. There we go.
Okay, so we'll be using the vassal dice. I'm not a great fan of them, but there wasn't really any other option. I do prefer live dice, and normally when we do play live, I have my camera pointed to a set of dice through a dice tower. But we will be doing this. We're doing it live as a start. We'll be continuing this as play by email once we get going, and doing the occasional live session as well. So when I upload a video of this, if it will be either Mark's log or my log, I'll do a running commentary of what he's actually, what I think he's doing. And obviously if it's my log, then obviously I can tell you what I think I'm doing as well. It's not necessarily the same thing as what actually happens on the map. And I say occasionally we will do these live forays as well, because we normally meet up on a Sunday morning. So with that, are you ready to begin, Mark?
I am. Okay, it's 6 a.m. The scenario begins.
I'll bring up the turn track.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at there. We're playing scenario 4. There are a total of 12 turns. Okay. The first few turns are different from the rest in that it's foggy. So there's quite a lot of concealment on the backboard. And also the French can't really move. As it says here, the coalition player has 3 automatic activations, no more than 1 per formation or commander. No activation for the French player, so I just sit there and play with my mouse. No order phase or order changes by commanders, and no strategic movement or movement segment. So what does it mean by automatic activations? Units are activated by core in this system. So when it comes to activating, Mark will choose a core, and then we'll roll for that leader's ability to activate. So if I just show you one of my commanders, okay, we look at Bernadotte. He's got 2 numbers on his display there, the 8 and the 0. The 8 is his activation number. So if I wanted Bernadotte to activate, I'd have to roll 8 or below on 2 dice. And then off he goes with his core and all the units that are within his command range. If I rolled a 9 or higher, I would then have to try for a different commander to activate. Bernadotte hadn't received the order or was sitting on his posterior like he did for quite a few battles throughout his career. So generally, the French have high or better initiatives. So they're more likely to activate on desire. Now, it says here the coalition player has 3 automatic activations. So he does not, Mark does not have to actually roll the dice at this point to activate.
Mm-hmm.
So who are you starting with?
So I'm going to start with 1 car, which is currently on the Pratzenberg Heights. And 1 car in our game is displayed as 3 separate unit markers. One of them is the real 1 car, 2 of them are dummies, and I can move all 3 counters in the direction of their current order, whatever that may be, which I obviously can't mention here. And the movement rate will be at the speed of the slowest unit in one car. The slowest unit in one car has 3 movement points. So,
Mark, isn't that you made on the actual counters here? Okay, where you got 1C, that's one core. That little 3 underneath shows that's the pace that these markers move at.
oh, I can't see that.
Okay, because you've got them actually showing the front side.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All
you've
right.
got more information than I have. You've got French spies everywhere.
So, so yeah, on the reverse side of a core leaders and the dummy markers, it shows a little number, a 3 if it's an a core with infantry in it, a 10 if it's a core with cavalry in it. If it's a leader. So this ones would be are Bacaldan, and the ones with cavalry, look, there's 5C here over here, that's got 6. So when you use these markers, that's the movement points that they have. If you want to use the actual units movement allowance, then you've got to then break these down or bring onto the board the actual physical units themselves. And
A question,
so
Aaron.
first core that you're at.
Yeah, it's one car. Quick question of order though. We know how many movement points each of these unit counters has that represent or don't represent the car. But if you're moving across a terrain type such as a slope, I can't remember which unit type movement cost you pay. Do you pay the cost for infantry, artillery, cavalry, or is it just 3 hexes if you've got 3 movement points? Can you remember?
Well, is this time for our first pause?
Perhaps.
Okay. let me just pause this video. Okay, so over to you then to move your first core. We've determined that they do pay the terrain costs, and they've got three movement points, and there's 3 counters. So which is the real one?
Yeah. Units can move 2 road and 1 trail extra hex if whole movement is along. So here we go. Can you see that unit moving?
Yeah, that was perfect. So you've moved onto the actual trail there.
Yeah.
And using that trail to negate the slope, this slope hex side and the slope hex.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, go back on that one. Right, that very little brown trail there, that is nothing.
Oh,
That's pure.
that's nothing.
That's decoration.
Is that like a woodland path with nettles either side?
Yeah, probably, and a couple of bumbles.
Quite tall nettles.
I know. Wait a minute, this is December, isn't it? So the nettles are probably dead. So that would be going down a steep slope.
So those, yeah. So that tiny little track is purely decoration.
Purely
like
decorative.
Baubles on a Christmas tree. Okay, right. Okay. In that case, then we'll move around to there.
Yeah. So yeah, so these trees here that you can see on the map board, they look very, very nice. They are purely decorative.
Serve no function. Okay. So
that here, this thick brown, thick line here, that is a steep slope. This is a gentle slope, and these are slope hexes. So, right. Well, that concludes your first core.
I won't mark him as activated because we're not doing the usual activation system in this first turn. It's a very special turn. So,
and they've got the little moved on them, so we know they've moved. So
yeah.
All right. So your next activation, automatic activation,
is the advance guard in the south, who
Yep,
starts
I
off
see that.
near St. Anton.
Yeah.
And let me just check there. You'll be able to see it, but I can't. What their movement is.
They've also got 3 on them.
Advance guard. Oh, has it got 3 in them? Because they've got no units that move at 3. That's weird. The slowest unit is a 4.
Right. I think with these. Right. Another pause. Okay, so we've now determined by looking through the rules that these numbers are correct. So even though the advanced guard have got units with 4 movement, so have the French, and they're all showing 3 on the back of the counters for infantry formations. If these formations start on a trail and remain on the trail all the way through the movement, they get an additional movement point. So that'll take them up to 4. And if they're on a road, they'll gain, that's standing corrected. If they're on the trail, they'll gain an extra movement point for moving on the trail and an extra movement point by the rules for staying on the trail as well. So that actually takes them to 5. And on the road, it's 6. So road gives them a bonus of 2. And because of these formations, they gain an extra 1, giving them an extra 3. Right, over to you to move your advanced guard then, Mark.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Extra point for the trail. Extra hex for the strategic formation. Next.
Now, I just would like to point out the visibility is 2 hexes in it because it's all foggy. So I can't see anything here. As you can see, I have actually got Davo's Corps deployed as per the special rules in the scenario book. So these are actual regiments of infantry and artillery at the Skolnitz Bridge.
That's that formation moved.
Okay.
So I believe I had 3 I could activate.
That's correct, yes.
So I've got 1 more corps I can move. And it will be 2nd Corps, who are up just south of Pratsa.
2nd Corps, these 3 units here, yep.
So let's see how we do this. It'll be going down a slope. That's a +1 MP for all. Move upward.
Yeah, there's no additional cost for going down.
2, 3. And the last one. 1, 2 is on a trail. 3, 4, 5.
So yeah, this here's the road, the darker.
Yeah.
Lines. These are the trails. These very thin ones are just there to look pretty. Right, so you've moved 3 corps. I actually just going to bring up now the order of battles, so just to show the viewers what these actual counters are representing. Okay.
Yeah.
So going to here, coalition 4. So the advanced guard under the command of Kienmeyer are these units here. So we've got quite a few infantry. And these are Austrians. Okay, the green are Russians. There's Buchhalden, who are mentioned, and these are the horse artillery. So some cavalry, artillery, some infantry. First column, a corps, first column, and 2nd column of the 2. So you First column commanded by Doc Hotorov, probably totally mispronounced, but there we go. And the second column commanded by Langeron. So those are the two formations that have moved so far. So, sorry, the three formations that have moved so far.
Oh no, it's only two. I've got an extra one now.
I'm allowed to make verbal errors.
That is the end of turn one.
And that, yes, concludes turn one. Close that. Remove all the moved markers.
I shall move the counter onto turn two. It's now
Okay.
7 o'clock. So all we've seen there is some tentative movements forward off the heights toward the French. Right.
Now we've moved to 7 a.m. So that was an hour. Yes.
Mhm.
So now we move to 7 a.m. What's the visibility?
It's the same. It's just 2 hexes. So no one has spotted each other yet officially. All we have is intelligence reports of roughly where formations are, but we don't know exactly where they are.
Okay.
So it begins.
No end of turn. Right. So there's no end of turn die roll. So what's an end of turn die roll? Once we actually get to 8 a.m., after each formation is activated, we roll 2 dice to see if there is an end of turn. And that's where these two numbers come in. There's a 10 and a 9 written there. If the score is higher, not equal to, but higher than that, so an 11 or 12, we flip over the turn marker. Let me just show next step there. Comes turn finishing. And then if a subsequent end of turn die roll is higher than the second number, so that's a 9 there, then the actual turn ends. No matter how many units have been activated on the board or haven't been activated on the board. Okay, but on these first 2 turns, there are no end of turn die rolls. So everything, so the coalition player has 8 automatic activations, no more than 2 per formation or commander.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, he doesn't have to roll for the leader's capabilities. The French can only automatically activate Davo twice. Once after 4 coalitions activations and once at the end of all the coalitions activations. No orders phase or order change by a commander. So we can't change any orders. And no strategic movement segment for the French. So there is for the coalition.
Mhm.
That's a bit rough, isn't it?
No, it's perfectly fair.
Perfectly fair. Do you think so? No pressure, Davu, you know. All right, so is there anything we need to do before those activations? I don't think there is, because there's no order changes.
Yeah, there's no order changes allowed in this turn. So you can look at potential.
First player, because you get 4 activations before I do. So off you trot. Enjoy your jolly.
Yeah. What we'll do first is we shall activate 1 car who are on the road here. They've just come off the Pratson Heights.
Yeah.
Following this trail, first marker, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next marker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the final marker, he's coming down the slope there. There's no extra cost to come down there. Next one in the slope. Hex, though, will take up to, oh no, he's on the track. So that's 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's 1 core activated. I'm going to mark those as activated.
Oh, yeah. Right. So you just as an aside here. So those 3 counters are for one of them is actually first core. So and the other 2 are dummies. But you're not really making me sort of guess here. I know that first core is coming for Skolnitz. I'm not worried about it going for Koblenz because they're all going for. You're not making me have to worry or guess at all with your first core. So the subtlety of a sledgehammer here.
It's one column.
Sorry.
It's one column as opposed to one car, just to be different. We haven't adopted the car system, you see. We've got a superior column-based system.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
What we do is there's not a lot of independent thought allowed. We like our orders to come directly from Moscow and Vienna. So therefore we don't have fancy maneuvers where we're trying to make you think we're going to an alternate destination or anything like that. We're just going for the jugular. That's our master plan. We're very confident.
I'm looking at this vassal model. This vassal model needs to be a bit updated a bit, doesn't it? If you remember with Quatre Bras, when you put an activation counter on top, it only went into the little corner, didn't it? Whereas this covers the whole.
That's right, yeah. So you can't see what's what underneath.
Anyway, clicking on it, but anywho, yeah. Here we're talking about a vassal module, but it allows us to play, even though we're like nearly 300 miles apart. So stop whinging. Let's get on. Thank you for designing the vassal module.
Say again, Aaron?
I said, here we are whinging about the vassal module, but it allows us to play when we're 300 miles.
It's a wonderful invention.
So, whoever designed the vassal module, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Your second activation, sir.
Second activation is the advanced guard under Kindmere. And here's these counters heading towards Austerlitz. I'll move the first counter first. That's 1, 2, 3.
Right, pause. Carry on.
There. I've paused.
No, carry on. Because you're now 3 away.
Pause there. Now
Yes.
I'm 2 hexes away. Now you have visual range.
Is that real or is that a dum-dum?
It's real. So what I shall do now is I shall delete the other 2 dummy counters off the map.
What actually happens at that point when we go, oh, look, they're real?
Yeah. So what happens now is I need to set up this advanced guard formation, and there are certain rules that we have to follow in the setup.
So I'm just going to quote those rules now. Spotting: as soon as an enemy unit, hidden or not, could theoretically have a line of fire at the current visibility range to a hidden unit, all hidden units are revealed. If the spotter is a hidden unit, it is also revealed. So, okay. Spotting can happen at any time during an activation phase from units of both sides, activated or not, hidden or revealed. A spotter is also spotted. Spotting can occur when the spotter is activated and moving towards an enemy unit. Okay, so it's effective. I mean, my guy was already spotted anyway. If it's a decoy counter, remove it permanently from the game. If it's a commander, place it on the spotted hex. If it's a formation leader, which in this case it is, place at least 1 unit from that formation in the spotted hex and all other units from that formation in hexes which are at the same time within 4 hexes of the spotted hex. So, one unit's got to go in this hex, and then all the others within 4 hexes of the spotted hex, at least 1 hex further away from the enemy unit that revealed the formation, even if it was a decoy, at least 2 hexes away from any other enemy units, and no further away in hexes from the nearest friendly supply source. The supply source is way off on the east side of the map. Okay.
So,
And that concludes their movement as well.
there's a stacking limit, isn't there?
Oh, there is a stacking limit, yes.
3 units per hex. It can be 2 infantry and then artillery, or I think 2
30
artillery.
SPs.
Is it limited to 3 physical counters?
No, you can have a maximum of 5 physical counters in a hex.
Thanks, Owen. That's good. Right. Next.
But you can always have 2 infantry and 1 artillery. Regardless of the stacking limit, 2 combat units of any category from the same formation plus 1 artillery unit from any formation can stack in a hex.
That is the entirety of the advance guard deployed.
Okay, so have you fulfilled everything? So yes, none have moved anywhere. There were 2 other hexes of my units towards us. Yeah, I think you've fulfilled everything.
So they've got infantry and artillery to the front. And notice the infantry counters have a little L on them, which means that they're light infantry, which gives them some advantages in fire. Not in melee, but in fire. And they've got some regiments of cavalry tucked in behind and on the flank.
Okay. Now, regarding the activations, when you activate units, you activate the columns for yourself, you're activating cores for myself. You can't have 2 activations in a row with the same formation. So Mark couldn't activate the advanced guard now as his next activation. So he could go back to first column. I'll get it right by the end of the battle. So he could activate his first column again, but remember, no formation in these 2 turns can activate more than twice in a turn. In actual fact, no formation can activate more than twice in a turn, even when in the other turns anyway, unless you play that last push card like I had. So, but he couldn't activate advanced guard now until he's activated another formation.
Yeah.
But that's your 2, so on to your 3rd.
Mm-hmm. My 3rd will be the 2nd column. And the Langeron, the Russians, he's advancing along this road, or the first marker is. 3, 4. There's nothing secret about this. They're going to approach within visual range and then deploy. That's that counter that's approaching Coburn. It is actually the 2nd column. So I shall delete the dummy counters.
You are as subtle as a sledgehammer, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, because the French can't react at the minute, there's not much point in me being too secretive about what I'm doing. The only French formations that can react in this turn is Davout. Obviously, the French can defend themselves at Koblenitz, but they can't do anything else. So the 2nd column now have to expose themselves. So let me see, the best way to do this is to scroll that across to there. No, it's not. I'm just playing with Windows. There we go. That's better.
Yes,
I was just
these 4 counters here of mine are from Sul's 4th Corps,
Mhm.
by the little 4 there, and color coded. If we look at again at Davu's units, okay, he is commander of the 3rd Corps, but they do have 4th Corps written on them. They were detached to Davu, but the color coding does help. But these actual units were physically part of 4th Corps. 3rd Corps units are beating a path along this road and this road here to get to reinforce the situation. Now we're seeing some big chunky Russian units. So looking at the counters, as Mark's deploying there, there's 3 numbers. The first number is the physical size of the unit, how many steps it's got. Okay. However, when it comes to losses, you don't take individual step losses. You just literally, if it takes a loss, it is flipped or reduced. And then the next step would be an elimination. But that's how many physical men are in the hex. I remember the actual, I think each strength point is 1 size point represents 100 cavalry or infantrymen or 1 or 2 guns, depending on the caliber. 1 turn represents an hour, and each hex is 200 to 250 meters across. So that's the first number. The second number is the quality rating, effectively their morale. The higher the number, the better. And the third number is their movement points.
what I'm doing here is I'm just, as I'm deploying the middle number, the 7s and the 8s, as you can see on these Russian units, is the quality of the troops. What I'm doing is I'm making the lead unit, which is the uppermost, the top unit in a stack. I'm putting the higher quality infantry units there, which means they're less likely to, they're more likely rather to survive any morale checks caused by French defensive fire later in the turn. So I've got, let's see, I'll continue with deployments. That will be
Wonder why those 2 units have got, they haven't got Langeron's shading.
the artillery.
Oh, because they're part of
Oh,
first.
no. Say again?
Right. What you're deploying there, you've got some of first column's artillery.
Oh, silly ass. Yeah.
You see, the color coding helps here, Mark.
Do apologise.
I went, quite a bit into the detail there about color coding, even though I've got 4th Corps, but they've got Davu's colors on them. Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Let's see. I'm going to just well you mentioned that. It's doing so well.
You were.
Well spotted, sir. I was thinking, Christ, how many troops have I got?
Apparently as many as you want. At least you can't clone the counters, I suppose.
See, that is possible, isn't it?
Actually, no, there's no clone on the actual unit counters.
We'll have some.
It's a big column, this, isn't it?
Nearly done. And then we've got cavalry will be with the artillery there. So that's everything. Sorry to take so long.
That's all right. Apart from Mr. Langeron himself, you got him on the board?
Yeah, he's on.
He's got to flip his counter then. Because I'm seeing two. There he goes. Right. So again, you've not placed anyone closer than he was. They've moved. They're deployed back towards their lines of supply. So everything looks good there. Doesn't look like there's any overstacking. No. No, that looks all okay. So that's his activation done.
Yeah. And I've got one more before Davu can respond.
Correct.
And now we've got a big decision to make here. Because I've got automatic activations this turn, this will be the last chance I have in this turn. I've got plenty more activations to make, but it's the last chance I'll have to have automatic activations, which gives you a significant advantage. Because just as you want to deliver the coup de grace, you fail your activation. That's what we're used to happening. So do I use it to maneuver forces in the rear, or do I keep going before Davu activates? Can Davu set up a better defense around Sokolnitz and Sokolnitz Castle? Do I give him the chance to do that?
It's all right, viewers. He does this quite frequently. He loves to talk to himself. Carry on.
I'm famous for it.
If anyone's been watching my other videos, Mark is the person I've been playing Hanau with as well. He's been playing the coalition in that one. It'd be good to actually play this Austerlitz now to compare with the VLE system again. I do like the command and control system of the Hexasim. But I do like seeing lines, columns, and squares at even though they're at both the same scale.
What's underneath your Legier B there?
Are you allowed to look?
Is it?
Are you allowed to look?
I think it looks like an orchard. I don't know.
Terrain-wise, you can look at the terrain-wise. You just remove from the map, don't you? All the pieces like that. Boom. So that is
it's a vineyard. It's a vineyard under 26 Legier B at Sokolnitz, just on my side of the frozen stream.
Under the actual, I thought you were looking under the units because the opponent cannot fully inspect enemy stacks.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to do that.
Only leaders. No, I'm doing this for the watchers.
Yeah.
Artillery units and the lead unit can be examined by the opponent player unless the opponent has a combat unit adjacent to the stack at the beginning of any segment. So you can look if you've got units adjacent, no matter what the visuality.
Right.
Okay. So who's activating?
One core.
Okay.
I mean, I've already tried to deploy half of them.
By the way, they're called columns.
Yes, we haven't adopted the car system. So what we're going to do here is again no semblance of subtlety. One, two, three into the vineyards with
Oh,
one
they're in the
column.
vineyards.
Yeah, they're at the wine, boys. So I shall unmask Doctor off from one column and delete the two dummy counters. Is that done? And then I need to place one column. Now the idea here is that the advanced guard are obviously approaching Talnet's, one column are approaching Sokolnet's and the Sokolnet's castle, the Schloss, across the stream. And we want to try and get these victory point locations, which Aaron, if he's kind enough, might move some of his French units out of the way so you can see the black flags underneath the units, which are the victory point locations that I need my forces to.
Okay, so as you can see here, these are the victory point locations. There are a total of 14 of these flags. Is it 14 or no? Hold on. Don't want to miss
18, I think.
18 of these flags across the board. 9 controlled by the French at the start, 9 controlled by the coalition. Okay, this here is a supply source included in the 9. Now, at the end of the game, each of these is worth 20 victory points, apart from the supply sources, which are worth 100 victory points. But for the sudden death victory conditions, these become very important. By the end of the 1 p.m. turn, the coalition must control at least 5 objectives or lose the game. So they start with 9. The French can take them down to 5, to 4. The French will automatically win. However, at the end of the 1 p.m. turn, the French must control at least 9 of the objectives or lose the game. So if the French start with 9, so they've got to at least take 1 more than they start with by 1 p.m. So every one of these that Mark with the coalition can now take makes my having to take them back by 1 p.m. that little bit more difficult.
Nearly there.
Look at the size of these gun batteries, 15.
Some huge gun batteries. The thing is, there are a lot of victory points as well.
Yes.
If you can kill them. So, and that is second column deployed. You can see he's unmasked, isn't he? So you can see Doktorov. And I shall activate him again. So he's been activated.
So that's twice. Him finished for the whole of the rest of the turn. He can't activate him again. And that means that now I get to activate Dabu.
You do. That's my first 4 free activations completed. Okay.
I'm not sure how long this video has been running, but I'm going to call the end of this video and carry on in another video. That's all right with me, Mark?
I think that's a good idea.
But I'm just going to call it because, you know, I find if the video is more than sort of like 40 minutes, people don't watch them. So, or they skim through them. So, so to all the watchers, if you've enjoyed what you've been watching so far, please click the like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Again, any comments will be much appreciated because that's how people get aware of these channels is by comments and likes. It then goes on to other people who watch these kind of videos. It gets brought up in their browsing section. So as much comments as possible. Again, if we've missed something, please mention it, because we're relearning this system. We haven't played the system properly now in what, 4 or 5 months. So
Well, Aaron mainly will be responsible for any mistakes. I don't tend not to make any.
fair comment.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching, and joining you again very, very shortly.